So when we look at quadrilaterals, if you draw a hierarchy chart, it will help you so much. Quadrilaterals are shapes with how many sides? Four sides. A four-sided shape. It's like calling a person. No features, don't know anything about them. It's just a person. If it has four sides, you can call it quadrilateral and you're safe. But then we have to classify them by all their names. And you know there's a lot of different quadrilaterals. And because a lot of kids mix up what names you have to classify them out at, I made this up a long time ago. My friends that were with me this morning can help us out on this. At the lunch table, what do you usually notice about where the boys and the girls are sitting? Opposite sides, almost always. Every once in a while there's a few brave souls that trickle to the other side, but most of the time the boys stay on one side and the girls stay on the other. So, quadrilaterals, this is my boy side of the table. And his name is trapezoid. A trapezoid has two lines that are parallel. Parallel lines are lines that go side by side, and if I take the lids off or the sides off and let those lines run, they're never ever going to cross, like railroad tracks. I usually put Reagan in my trapezoid and trap him in my trapezoid because he's a little crazy. Keeps him from jumping off the couch. Trapezoids are going to look like this, and every once in a while you will see them where they look like this. I sawed my trapezoid in half and now it's a scary skateboard ramp. Had some unfortunate incidents on those as a kid, but y'all survive with some bruises and injuries along the way. So this is my boy side. Boys, pretty simple. Give them a piece of pizza, call them trapezoid, quadrilateral, go home. All right? Now girls, wouldn't you say the girls are a little bit more complicated than the boys? Yes. There's usually some more drama on the girl side of the table than the boy side of the table, yes? Yes. So I got to teach you about all my girls so you know who's who, and you're careful not to call them the wrong name because they get very offended. My first girl, her name is Parallelogram. She is pretty easygoing. Parallelogram. She's got a long name, but she's pretty simple. You remember the two L's are here for two parallel lines. Parallelogram is classified as parallelogram because her opposite sides are parallel. She has two sets or two pairs of parallel lines. I'm not going to write it out because I've got very little room. So if I have two pairs of parallel lines and I'm a four-sided shape, she's pretty easy going. You just call her parallelogram and quadrilateral. You're done. That's the one you want to be friends with. Not a lot of drama there. Her opposite sides are congruent. This is the one that when you recognize it, it looks like I backed my car into a rectangle. It's a little wonky. Okay? So if you see parallelogram, you call her parallelogram, quadrilateral, and you're done. Got it? Now we're going into a little bit more drama, a little bit more complications here, but we can figure them out. Next two friends are rectangle and rhombus. These girls are side by side. They're friends, but they're like frenemies. You can never call rhombus rectangle or rectangle rhombus ever, ever, ever. You don't want to see what happens. Rectangles also have two sides that are parallel. or two sets of parallel sides. Its opposite sides are congruent. But what does rectangle have that parallelogram does not? Yep. 4 right angles. So rectangle is a special type of parallelogram. When I see her, I've got to go by rectangle, parallelogram, and quadrilateral. Never, ever, ever call rectangle rhombus, because rhombus has something different than rectangle. A couple of things different than rectangle. What do you notice, Sydney? 4 congruent sides. Rhombus looks like I backed my car into a square and it's a little wonky. When I see rhombus, I've got to classify rhombus as parallelogram, quadrilateral. Am I ever going to call rhombus trapezoid? No. No, you don't want to go there. Am I ever going to call rhombus rectangle? No. Rhombus, parallelogram, quadrilateral. Wherever you start, you follow the line up. This is called a hierarchy chart. You start at rhombus and go higher, higher to the top, and then you're done. My last quadrilateral, my last one, she looks simple and innocent, but she is the most complicated of all. Her name is Square. Square is the one that looks so easy, but if you're not careful, you're going to miss one of her names. A square has opposite sides are parallel, 2 sets of parallel sides. It has 4 90-degree right angles. It has 4 equal sides. This is all of them and one. A square can also be classified as rectangle, rhombus, parallelogram, quadrilateral. She's all of them. She has the attributes of all of these shapes. Are all rhombuses squares though? No, because this one here clearly has no perpendicular angles. There's no 90-degree angles. I can't call that rhombus a square, but if I see a square, I have to classify it as all of them. Rhombus, rectangle, parallelogram, quadrilateral. She's the most complicated one of all. You have to do all her names. Do you see? When I've had kids take tests over this, it's a pain to write out all these words, but usually what my students in the past have done to help them on their test is they'll put a 4 or a Q at the top. You know that's a trapezoid. Put the boy over there and start putting all the girls. Parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, and watch out for square. Okay? This is usually the picture that my kids have used on their scratch paper or somewhere on their test to refer to, because quadrilateral questions are almost always all words that are written to complicate things. So if I point to parallelogram, can I call parallelogram square? No. Wherever I start, I can only go higher. Parallelogram, quadrilateral, the end. If I start at rhombus, can I go down to square? Can I go across to rectangle? No, I can only follow the roads that lead me up to the top to quadrilateral, parallelogram, quadrilateral, and I'm done.